The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jamison Rabbit, and this week I got an old familiar face for you. It's exciting stuff. This week I am joined by a man who thought the Squid Game was just a little too lighthearted. His name is Mike Roth.
Hey, how's it going? What's the Squid Game?
Oh,
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Everybody has seen the Squid Game.
Yeah.
I watched it. I thought it was fantastic, and then I watched the ending again with my daughter. We just got together, and that was the only episode she didn't see.
Yeah.
It was fun, and it's like that thing everybody is seeing. It's viral.
It is very viral.
Everybody I know is loving it. Have you known anybody who said, "Nah, I don't really care for it"?
Not at all. My boys streamed it in like one weekend.
Yeah.
They just binged through it and
In school,
came out of their room.
9 episodes. I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
Here's a little secret.
Tell me.
I only saw the last 5 episodes.
Ah.
I got into it late, and I'm like, "Hey, what you watching?" And
Interesting.
then we finished it that day.
Interesting. I like that technique. This week, Mike, we're going to talk about some movies. That's why we're here, right? That's why I brought you to talk about some flicks.
I've seen them.
All right.
Yeah, I've seen movies.
That's huge. That's a huge thing to start off with. So I'm going to get us started with what we have on the marquee this week. The first film we have is called The Last Duel from director Ridley Scott. This stars Matt Damon and Jodie Comer, Adam Driver, and Ben Affleck, we'll be talking about. It's a film that's set in the 1300s. It's a story of 2 men, fellow fighters in the King's army and seemingly friends who, through several increasingly turbulent events, become mortal enemies. And the story is of these 2 men, but soon you find that it's actually the story of Marguerite, who plays Matt Damon's wife, played by Jodie Comer, and how she's used and treated by everyone involved in this story. And it's told in a Rashomon style, where it's told through various perspectives. We tell the same story through various perspectives. We get it from Matt Damon's character, Jean de Carouge.
Thank you.
And then the story is told through Adam Driver's character, Jacques Legris. And then finally, the story is told through Jodie Comer's character, Marguerite. It's the story of how Jacques loses his land to Legris. He loses his station within the army to him that was supposed to kind of be bequeathed in his bloodline. And ultimately, he was told that Jacques Legris had also raped his wife.
Yeah.
Not great. And it's interesting because, like, from one perspective, there's a lot of jealousy, a sense of kind of moral outrage over how things have gone down. Mm-hmm. From another, it's kind of more aloofness towards it all. Jacques thinks that Lord Pierre, who's played by Ben Affleck, who's kind of the lord over this area, has kind of taken to Legris and favored him unjustly, and he demands justice. But what they kind of fail to recognize is that, you know, there's a bigger thing happening here with Marguerite that kind of gets pushed to the side for a good chunk of the story. Both of the men's accounts kind of fail to recognize is that their concern is not over what happened to Marguerite. It's more that's more secondary over their personal rivalry. Mm-hmm. So she tells her husband, "I was raped," and he's outraged with her. Yeah. "Don't lie to me." And then it's, well, he's obviously doing this to get at me again, just another thing to get over on me. And as Adam Driver tells his side of the story, he admits that he also raped her, but it's for over a different reason. And so it ultimately leads to The Last Duel, where Matt Damon's character challenges Adam Driver's character to a duel to the death. This is how we settled things. And this is how we're going to determine who's telling the truth. Whoever's alive is the man who told the truth.
Are they really nonchalant about the rape? They're just like,
Well,
that's just weird.
So Jean de Carouge is I mean, he's outraged over it, but he just sees it as an opportunity now to call out Legree because he's been so upset with him over the previous events, and he's like, well, this is how I'm finally going to come after him. And true to the times, as a woman, Marguerite can't make a charge against a man for this. Her husband has to make the charge, and challenges him to a duel to the death.
How did Ben Affleck do?
So Ben Affleck is in this as the Lord. I will say interesting. He brought a Kevin Costner in Prince of Thieves level of commitment to his accent.
Okay.
Where from scene to scene, it takes place in France, but I believe his character is supposed to be British. In some scenes, it feels like he has a bit of a French accent. Sometimes he has a very froofy British accent. And in other scenes, it sounds like he's from Southie. It's just Ben Affleck. Like, so what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
It was frustrating to say the least. He also has a very modern haircut. Like he's got like a fade.
Nice. Some steps in his eyebrows or something like that.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I really enjoyed the three different tellings of the story. It did get a little tedious because they did kind of really repeat all the steps of the story 3 times. By the third time, I'm like, can we just skip to what's different in this telling of it, A little frustrated, but I thought Adam Driver, Matt Damon, and Jodie Comer were all great in this. It felt really true to the time, and I was expecting it to be kind of cheesy.
Really?
Yeah, I was. I mean, Matt Damon's got this horrible mullet wig that
sounds cheesy when you say things like that.
But it's Ridley Scott telling a historical. It's kind of Gladiator-esque.
I find that Ridley Scott movies are better when they're out on Blu-ray or whatever, where it's a director's cut. Do you think this one will be helped with the extra material?
Possibly. I mean, I did enjoy it. It was better than I thought it would be.
Cool.
And outside of Ben Affleck, who's fourth lead in this, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
And to give him credit, he has really did better with his acting chops over the years.
Yeah.
This one felt like it might have been a stretch for him.
The big thing was it's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck together again for the first time since Good Will Hunting. But Ben Affleck was supposed to have the other lead role in this, and he decided to step back his role, give it to Adam Driver, which I think was smart, but it's a better film than I was expecting.
Ben Affleck's been doing that a little bit more lately.
I think since he started directing movies more, I think it brought up his acting as well.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. He's not making movies with J-Lo, thankfully. Fingers crossed, that could happen again. But I ultimately am giving The Last Duel 3.5 stars. I think it's worth your time, worth checking out.
Very fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Next movie we have on the marquee, sir. What do you have for us?
One of the things I enjoy about this is you have no idea what my scores are. That's a little different. So you have no idea what I'm going to rate this classic movie.
Yes.
I'm talking about Halloween Kills Us is 12 in the franchise. Been lasting 40 years.
Yeah.
We bring back, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, because she makes everything better, as Laurie, and her daughter, which isn't her real daughter, Judy Gear, as Karen, and it takes place right after the events of the last Halloween movie. The house is burning down, Michael Myers is in there, really, he's the shape, but everybody knows him as Michael Myers.
Right.
And if everybody knows, you don't make 12 movies with the guy just dying in a house fire.
Not so much.
Yeah. So, of course, he gets out, and, of course, he does what he does for 2 hours is kill people.
Yeah.
Now, there's tons of other characters in here, but the thing you got to remember is there's no character development. You don't care about any of these people. And in this case, a lot of the acting is really bad. They don't really use Jamie Lee Curtis very much.
That's the thing is, so after the events of the 2018 film, she's kind of gravely injured. She's hauled off. She's in a hospital bed in this movie, and she stays in that hospital bed in this movie.
And she doesn't need this franchise anymore. I think she does it because of the people who were involved in it.
Yeah.
And that's great. But I would like it to see Halloween die out. Just like, Freddy Krueger was awesome. And Jason, they were awesome, but they knew when to hang it up, because after 10 really bad movies and only a couple that you're like, oh, that's all right, and one great one. You got to give it up.
I really liked the 2018 one.
Yeah?
I really enjoyed that one. And so I had high expectations for this one. And it was more like an It Chapter 2. We're bringing the kids who survived Michael Myers in 1978.
Yeah.
And now we're going after him. Evil dies tonight. We're going to kill Michael, right? Mm-hmm. But much like Jamie Lee Curtis in the 2018 film, they've spent 40 years of their lives obsessing about this guy.
Yeah.
And where she built her compound and I'm going to hunt Michael down. And these people are all obsessing about him, and they meet together to retell the story of the boogeyman and all that. And they decide we got to kill him, but instead, Jamie Lee Curtis and Laurie never leaves the bed. Instead, they focus on like the guilt and the pain of these kids who I don't really care about as adults. There's no real stakes to it, and it was told through a lot of flashbacks to the original film.
Yeah.
So many flashbacks. A CGI Dr. Loomis is brought into this thing. And it felt like they was too beholden trying to remind us, hey, this is from the 78 film.
They had new characters in it, but they don't do anything where I care about them. There's a couple that's at the bar. They were just cannon fodder for being killed later. There's the new owners of Michael Myers' house who... one of the actors I think is fantastic. I like him in a lot of his things.
He was from Mad TV. Yeah.
Yep, and he didn't laugh.
Little John.
Yeah.
Big John and Little John.
Is he the one that look what I could do?
Yeah,
he's awesome. But it didn't do anything. And then at the end, I don't want to tell the end, but it felt very cookie cutter.
I had a lot of frustration with this movie. First off, you bring in one of the other guys from the psych ward who escaped the prison bus rollover from the 2018 film. I don't know why we're following him. He's like a MacGuffin in this movie.
Yeah.
And it felt weird to me. I mean, I really like Michael Myers, but there's a lot of weird leaps in here. Like suddenly he's also posing victims after kills. He's never done that before. All of a sudden he's posing them on playground equipment and stuff. I'm like, Michael Myers doesn't do that. A lot of time, a lot of scenes of people looking out a bedroom window. So many bedroom windows being looked out. And it just felt like for people who have been obsessed for 40 years of killing this boogeyman, their thing is like, well, I'm going to grab my childhood baseball bat and kill him with it.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculous.
And there's like scenes, like opening scene where a cop, they're trained, point blank with a gun, can't shoot anything. And that's not a topic. It's just like, he couldn't shoot him. He was right there in front of him.
I mean, there's some cool kills in here, I thought. There were a couple. There's a lot of gory kills compared to the previous ones. But at one point, Michael Myers just wants to go home, right? And everyone's breaking in. I felt like he was Kevin McAllister. And people are just breaking in his house trying to kill him. And he's just like, I got to defend my old house. This is my childhood home. And I'm like, he's almost sympathetic now. You know? Like he just wants to hang out in his old room and look out the window.
Yeah, and like, of course, kill people. He likes that a lot. But.
I just think that there was just too much time spent on callbacks to the original, not enough time on an actual story, having the character of Laurie just sit in a bed.
And I didn't think there was anything original that they added to it.
Like, I don't know why we needed to... Did you care about any of those, like, super minor characters from the original film?
No, but
did you spend
really
40 years going, I wonder what happened to that kid who he walked by?
Yeah, but they spent a lot of time trying to make you care, but not in a way where I ever did.
It felt to me like if Terminator 2 had focused half of the movie on Bill Paxton's character from the original Terminator, and, like, focused a lot on his story and how Terminator, seeing him pass by, affected him over all those years, and that's what Terminator 2 was. That's what this felt like.
Well, I'm hoping that next year, which another Halloween is going to come out, and it's titled Halloween, where End.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this is...
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. There's another one coming. I'm hoping it's better. I'm hoping that somehow that makes this one feel better, because the end of this movie frustrated me to no end. And
sounds fair.
There's a lot. Yeah, there was some issues with it. Disappointing. So I think we're a little closer
I bet.
than we might have originally thought. What did you end up giving Halloween Kills?
Would you believe me if I said 5?
No.
Okay, it's a 1.5.
Ooh.
Yeah, really bad. It's not even close to being.
What did you think
bad.
of the 2018 one?
Obviously, I didn't like it because it is gone from my memory. The first Rob Zombie reboot.
Oof.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I like that first one.
Yeah.
Second one, terrible.
Well, that second one's awful. It's unwatchable.
Yeah, and a couple of the originals, but this is a series that's been going downhill, and the reboots really don't help it.
Yeah, I had hopes. I liked 2018, which probably made this one hurt even more. But I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars. Like, disappointing. Roth, I know it's doing great at the box office. That's awesome, but yeah, I wish he would have been better. You know, if you're gonna pay Jamie Lee Curtis to come in this movie, have her do something.
I don't think they had to pay her much.
Her granddaughter, I asked my wife at one point, what happened to her? Because she was just out of the movie for a large chunk, and she was like a major character in the other one.
I really don't care for Judy Greer either.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of hers.
She feels annoying.
Yeah, I don't disagree. All right, let's move ahead with what we have for our streaming spotlight this week. We turn to Netflix for a Norwegian film from director Tommy Wirkola. It's called The Trip. Stars Noomi Rapace as Lisa and Axel Hennie as Lars. They are a couple whose relationship has hit a rocky stage. Lars is kind of purposely antagonistic towards her, kind of passive-aggressive with Lisa, and she's kind of done with this whole relationship, it feels like. They agree to go off to their remote cabin to maybe, in hopes of rejuvenating their relationship, hopefully, and maybe getting that spark back and getting it back on track. But neither one really seems really ready to work at it, and they have their own ways of how they want to go about fixing this relationship. We find out that what the other person doesn't know is that each of them has plans to kill the other person once they get to this cabin. And they're good. They have various ways they want to do it. We see that kind of both of them are self-absorbed jerks.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, they're probably difficult to live with.
So you immediately start rooting for the wife.
Right, naturally.
And then you find out,
she gets the drop on him right away.
Yep.
With his dumb plan. And I love how she laughs. She tells him wait, was your plan to do this and this? Don't tell me that was, you're so stupid.
And that was fantastic. But of course that was just the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, about 15 minutes.
And then after that, it is a comedy. It
absolutely is, because that's when 3 escaped convicts come crashing into their lives. We find out that there's 3 bad dudes who have bad intentions for these folks who are living in the attic of this, squatting in the attic of this cabin. They
literally.
come crashing through. Yes, literally. I see what you did. They come crashing through, and suddenly it's a question of, can Lisa and Lars set aside their differences to fight off these 3 bad guys? And this home invasion turns into this tale of survival for Lars and Lisa.
And I love how they had the pacing of their relationship. They go in hating each other, and it's not like that one instant where they're just like, hey, we got to work together, let's be in love again.
Yeah.
It's a slow process.
Very reluctant.
To watch
like, you can torture him a little bit.
Yeah, and then after a while that breaks, but it's still not a relationship again, because you have to go through a lot of trauma, like any marriage, in order to really get that connection. Of course, not like this trauma. Don't do this trauma.
Don't do this. There's some problematic moments in here, especially there's one character whose entire characteristic seems to be that he's a psychopathic homosexual man who just wants to get a hold of Lars.
Yeah.
And that's basically his entire character.
Yeah.
Not much else. You also have a Nazi who has issues with Lisa because she's Jewish.
Yeah.
And then you have Petter, who's the leader of the crew.
Super sadist. That's it.
Yeah, and he's a thinking man psycho killer, though. Very quiet, very just reserved, very well-paced in how he wants to do things.
Maybe they took a page out of Three Stooges.
Not a bad idea. That's a weird Three Stooges. I don't know if
No.
I mean, it would have flown in the 40s, no problem.
Curly would have been the Nazi.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I like the interactions between Petter and Lisa and Lars.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were interesting. They were also really funny. Brought a lot of dark humor in here.
A lot of dark humor.
But it's like really gory. There's some gory moments.
But the gore is actually part of the humor. It's just like Shaun of the Dead, where you watch it and it is over the top. There is a scene where actually everybody is in a scene where they should have died over and over and over again just from the blood loss and head trauma.
Yeah.
But they keep on trucking, and it sets it up for another, morbidly funny scene.
Yeah, I thought it was it reminded me of was it Tucker and Dale? Face Evil, whatever.
Yeah.
The two guys who were misunderstood to be like hillbilly killers.
Yeah.
Kind of similar, like gory, but like kind of outrageous. The humor breaks up some of the really gory parts.
Yeah, and part of the gore, I think, is them going up to the prop department and being like, what can you do and what would you like to do?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure that one out.
What can you
we'll
use?
Put that in there.
What can you do with this?
Yep. And it was done well. I didn't think it looked cheesy at all. I do have a strong recommendation, though.
Yeah.
A lot of times I find it difficult to go through a lot of dialogue and seeing all the action. The voice acting in this, the dub, is horrendous.
Yeah.
You will want to turn off this movie. Don't. Just read it. It's not a lot of pages of dialogue.
It really surprised me because Noomi Rapace speaks English. I mean, she's been in plenty of English movies, and I was like, why don't you just let her talk? Why do we have a weird
it's a
dubbing?
Norwegian film, though.
It is, but
Yeah.
I mean, but if you know you're going to do it, I don't know. I would have just paid her to be like, hey, can you do your lines?
I found it so.
I mean, I did think that there was some repetitive moments in here. It felt like, all right, let's move to something.
There was a few scenes, one in particular, which was a torture scene
Yeah.
that went way longer than
Yep.
I want. I
Yep.
don't like torture porn at
Right.
all. And there was a good large segment where it was just like, all right, get to the next
Yeah.
thing. You got to stop doing this, or you got to wrap that up and go on to the next one. Yes, everybody's getting tortured throughout the whole movie, but it just stayed on one scene.
It just hung on there
way
for too long. I agree with you. I thought this was going to kind of be like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you know, a husband and wife want to kill each
Yeah.
other, but I enjoyed this almost more, I think.
I think I do too.
It's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith for the regular folk.
Yeah.
You don't have to be super good looking and have a big high-tech, gadgetry.
And horror comedy, and I know it's a suspense, but it has the gore of a horror.
Yeah.
It's rare. They used to do once a year, and I haven't seen one in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that style.
Yeah.
So what did you end up giving the Norwegian film The Trip?
I gave it a 3.5. The reason why it got a little down is because of that torture scene. That did bother me, and
Yeah.
it took the humor out for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I gave it 3 out of 5. I'm hedging between that and 3.5. Part of it is because I stuck with the dubbed version for reasons unknown, and it was rough.
If you have a chance to go through all that gore again,
Yeah.
definitely turn that off. It's scratching on this
It was
chalkboard. It's bad.
not awesome. But yeah, it's enjoyable. It's over on Netflix. We both recommend checking that out. Sir, we have a movie throwback for this
Yeah.
week, and you chose a movie that I'd never seen before, which is always fun.
I did too.
Nice.
Yes, I have this. 3D movies, of course, are going out, and I bought this in full hopes of watching it, and I haven't. Just sat on my shelf forever, getting dust.
Yeah.
And it's called The Base. It was directed by William Kamen Menzies. He did one other 3D movie before this. Everybody said it was great. This movie he did not plan to do in
This
3D.
was 1953, right?
1953. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I was going to leave everybody. So in 1953, he already has one 3D movie under his belt. They're like, Menzie? They nicknamed him Menzie. It's his last name, but they're like,
All
Menzie, you got to make another 3D movie. So he made this one a 3D movie. And I think when it came down to the visual effects of a lot of this, I really dug it. You have these long stairs.
So you watched this in 3D?
Yeah, I watched it in 3D.
Oh, I would have
I'm
loved
sure
it.
it made a huge difference.
I'm sure, because I was trying to figure out, like, okay, I wonder what the 3D would be like in this.
Yeah, so basis of the story is you have Richard Carlson, he plays Gerald, and you have Kitty Murray, played by, or Veronica Hurst, she plays Kitty. Gerald, he has to go away. They're all rich. He goes away to his dead uncle's castle to kind of settle affairs, and he ends up giving a telegram to Kitty saying, "Hey, we broke up. That how we're going to get married. That's not going to happen. Just leave me alone forever." Well, Kitty can't have that. That's the love of her life. So she goes all the way out to get Gerald in this castle, and there's a lot of mystery going around in there, and Kitty can't figure out why Gerald is not acting the way he used to. In this movie, you have these huge doors. You have long staircases. There's a scene where she goes up to the attic so she could look onto the maze.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. It was so long and deep. You could look at those stairs and you're like, that's just difficult to get up. It's
man.
weird. The movie itself, as a plot,
Yeah.
that fell apart.
Yeah.
But,
I was struggling.
visually, with the play with the shadows, which I wish they would do more. I do like black and white, and when they redo it's really good. But they don't do that too much.
How did
So
the
play
maze
with-
look? Was the maze anything special?
The maze wasn't too special.
Because, I mean, it looked like it was
Yes.
very much just a small prop.
Yeah, it was a small prop. It was pretty much a castle that took away everything. Just all the largeness and the space, and watching people go through these halls, just that openness felt eerie.
I didn't love, I believe is it the sister character or the mother character?
The aunt.
The
The narrator.
who keeps cutting.
Yeah.
They keep cutting to her, talking to the camera, narrating segments, and I was like, I don't love that.
I don't think your audience is that dumb. We could figure
Yeah.
that out. And I didn't like, and I'm going to spoil it because it's from
Go ahead.
1953.
The reveal
And the
is-
big reveal is that there's a 200, 300-year-old relative that's actually a frog and has the DNA of for longevity, and they have to take care of it.
Yeah, he's the
And,
real lord of the
And
castle.
Gerald's just a steward, if anything. And during a weird, freakish, embarrassing moment in the maze, the frog jumped out the window, sounding very much like an elephant. And then all of a sudden, Gerald was better. I'm like, communication between loved ones, it wouldn't have gotten this
I'll tell
far.
you, I was not expecting that reveal.
No.
I'm just kind of watching along, like, okay, this, all right. I'm not really hanging with this story too much, and then just this frog person comes out, and I just last week watched Lamb, which was a movie about a lamb person.
There you go.
And I'm like, wow, this is interesting. The effects are of the time.
It was kind of bad.
But I'm glad you recommended this because it gave me a chance to see a movie I'd never seen before.
Excellent. Well, if you ever want to watch it in 3D.
I do want to watch it in 3D.
Well, you know where I live.
All right, that I do. Look for the big skeleton. Let's take a look, sir, at some movies that are coming out soon, the weekend of October 29th. We have a few films. First one is Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright's new film starring Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy. So excited for this movie.
This has been around for a while.
This was on our most anticipated list 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So excited for that movie. We also have a film called Antlers, a Scott Cooper directed film starring Kerry Russell and Jesse Plemons about a town whose dark secrets lead to a terrifying encounter with a legendary Wendigo character.
Never heard of it.
It's a Native American crazy animal-human hybrid. This is the
assuming
thing I'm
Antlers.
sticking with every week. I'm getting an
Okay.
animal-human hybrid. It looks really crazy. I'm surprised it's not made by A24 from the looks of it. And then over streaming, we have Army of Thieves, which is the prequel to Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead that came out earlier this year. Only this one focuses on the German safecracker leading a heist during the early days of the zombie apocalypse. This is not directed by Zack Snyder, though. It's somebody.
Oh, so it might be good.
Maybe. I don't know. We're going to find out. They really fast-tracked this thing, though. That thing came out earlier this summer.
Ugh.
If I remember right, yeah. So those are the films that will be coming out the weekend of October 29th. Before we leave you, we want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, the Palace. Look at where we are. I don't even think we talked about it. We're sitting here in the Palace. We want to thank the sponsor, everyone who helped make this possible, Tom and Dustin and everybody who helped bring us in. We do love it. I mean, look at this, Take 5 Lounge. The Palace is
And you can't
incredible.
even see behind you. This is one of the best looking bars in Madison that I've ever seen. It's
good stuff.
It's really cool.
We love getting to come back here. It's been 2 years since we did a show here. So we are very thankful to be back in the confines of the Palace. Next week, sir, speaking of anticipated films, next week I'll be talking about Dune, Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch, and then the animated film Ron's Gone Wrong. It's an exciting week.
I'm going to be seeing Dune this Saturday.
I like that. Sir, thank you again for coming by.
Thank you for having
I love
me.
it when you stop by.
Oh, gosh, you.
All right. Well, until next week, I'm Jamison.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.